You have probably heard that Caitlyn is a really good laner, and while that is true, people often have a hard time pulling it off in a real game. That's why today I prepared 4 tips that will explain and teach you how you can really bully online as Caitlyn. The first thing I would like to talk about is obviously Kate's range. Thanks to having the biggest range in the game, Caitlyn is one of the best laners on bot lane. In theory, having bigger range than anyone would essentially mean that you can hit them while they won't be able to reach you. But as we all know, doing this in-game is impossible. What we can do, however, is to get as close to this. Here are a few ways you can do this. The most obvious thing we can do is when your enemy walks up into your range, you hit them. It is really easy on Kate, and there are a few ways to do this. First, you casually poke or trade with your enemy when they overextend even the slightest, because Caitlyn is excellent in punishing this. Next thing you can do is fight for dominance early and ideally get to level 2 first. When you establish that, your enemy will have to retrieve or in the better case, die. When they retrieve, you will make it really hard for them to farm because of your range. They will either have to waste mana on their spells, lose even more HP, or just lose CS. Either of these cases give you insane advantage in the early game. Or you can just straight up poke them, which is quite harder doing without dominance online, since you need to have somewhat good movement for that. Alright, so that was range abusing, and now we'll move to trap placement. It is essential part of playing Caitlyn, and same goes for your lane phase. Each game you will have to decide if you want to take your W or E second, based on the state of your lane. For example, if your support is Morgana, it is a good idea to take W second. Now, apart from using your traps with engage, how can you utilize them even further? For starters, you can place traps under enemy turrets, so it's really difficult to see them. Next great placement is to the edges of bushes, so your enemy will get caught off guard if they try to go to the bush. It is also a good practice to always have a one trap ready, so you are prepared for any situation. And one more little tip to add, always take bush prio. As I always say, leash is troll, and you can get some really great value by surprising your enemies. So now that you know those 2 practical concepts, let's move to the more theoretical ones. And first of them is learning your matchups. This is done the best through time spent on the Rift and finding your preference. So don't just base your matchup assumptions off some site. Generally speaking, Kate is the best against short-range champs such as Lucian or Zeri, and although you can pull almost any lane as Caitlyn, some of the worst matchups are the champs that have a similarly long range like Ashe or Varus, or great all-in potential such as Draven or Tristana, but over time you will be able to dominate every matchup, even the worst ones. And lastly, we have the supports, because obviously, like with any other champ, Caitlyn will alter her playstyle based on her support. I'll make video just on this topic in the future, so for now, let's explain it briefly. You will have to recognize with which support you are playing to suit your playstyle to that. For example, if your support picks Morgana, you would want to clear the waves fast so she can hit her Q more easily and engage off that. Or when your support picks Lulu, you should try to poke and trade as much as possible. It's all about the support styles, and I'll talk about that in the video on this topic. One more tip I'll add here is that Kate isn't great at flipping level 1. Most champs come on top in the end, but of course your support and perhaps even your runes play a role here, so it's really situational. A little disclaimer before the end though, everything I said in this video is just overall tips and they won't work every game. There are so many variables to this, and the biggest of them are your matchup, your support, and your enemy support. But anyway, that's all from me today. I hope you learned something. Let me know if there's something you would like me to explain next, and I'll see you in another one. Bye.